Okay, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and get started with our Friday night huddle. Our Friday night huddle. First of all, I want to welcome everyone to this call. You guys know, as we do every Friday, we get together and we have a very relaxed call amongst our team and others that join our team. And I did invite others to this call today, so I'm expecting that people will start chiming in. But this is our Friday G2 Global Sequoia call. As we always state in the beginning, that you guys know the G2 Global is a network. And it's just what it is. It is a network. And our network consists of many different entities that we will operate in and be supported. I'm sorry, that we will be able to benefit from uh, uh, in this network. Okay. So that's exactly what G2 Global is. And of course, you know, we are a part of the Sequoia family, and I am a partner with Sequoia and also serve as the regional vice president of Sequoia. With that being said, with that being said, the goal of this call is to get all of us together every Friday to answer all of our questions, to learn more about our different products, and just to be in a relaxed environment where it's not too tense. You know, you can ask the questions that you need, and you can learn in a really relaxed manner. So today, what I want to talk about is one of the things that we've been experiencing in the non-for-profit arena, the church arena. We are blessed to have Bennie Miller on the call with us because many of you, and like myself, have a lot of different churches in our pipeline. People that we know that's in ministry or non for profits, people that have our 501c3s and that's looking for funding. And most of the time, people don't know where to go, especially when it comes to non for profit. And so this is why we want to make sure that we are not only sharing the right information, but we are equipped to be able to be that resource for these clients. Okay, so a lot of times, you know, people say, well, I don't know much about the church funding industry. I don't know anything about church lending. Well, that's okay. As I always say on this call, this is where you have to be resourceful. Just remember to be the agent of resource. You want to be the one that people can go to get the answers for exactly what it is that they're looking for. And today, particularly, we're going to deal with the 501c3 sector. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring on an expert that's been in the industry a long time, that's partnered with Sequoia. He pretty much loves the church arena and the 501c3 space. So we want him to do what he does best, and that's to teach us and to instruct us on what it is that we need to know in the church funding arena and how we can get our clients funded and what kind of programs are available. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Bennie Miller, our expert. And Bennie, you do your thing, brother.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mo, for that lovely introduction in reference to the training on tonight. First, I want to ask, can y'all see me?
Yes, we can. And I'm going to go ahead
Okay,
and make you the host,
Yes.
okay?
okay, good. Cause okay, good. Um, like Mo said, I've been in the church lending business, the nonprofit sector, for approximately 20 years. And I'll say in the last maybe 5 to 3 years, the church lending business has really escalated, has taken off after COVID, I would say. It really has picked up steam in reference to the churches and our nonprofits looking for funding because COVID kind of put fear into our big box lending institutions, i.e., Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Truist Bank, Chase Bank, even your community banks. It's just a lot of fear with them funding church loans and nonprofit loans as a whole. But we are partnering with Sequoia Lending in reference to the church funding. We have the resources and we know where to go to get those churches funded. We do funding in 48 states. And the two states, I'm not really 100% sure what states they are, but I think it's like Wyoming or North Dakota or South Dakota, somewhere way out there. But nevertheless, I haven't done a loan out there in that area anyway. But we are here to be a partner and support the Sequoia lending brokers with your church lending. And that's it's a very easy process. Uh, as Mo's saying, just follow in the web portal that you have, just follow those basic guidelines. Just follow those basic guidelines and let us do the number crunches behind the scene. That's what we do. So I have a account rep for my company that does all of the number crunches to let them know if this is going to be a go or no go on them funding the church or the nonprofit. But before I get into some application and some more specific details, I want to put out some things that I have learned over the past years dealing with churches. First of all, you always need to have a great point of contact, because when we need information, we make contact with the church. We need to know someone we can call and they can get us the information. And I will tell you up front, most of the time, that is not the pastor. The pastors are busy, they in meetings, they running here, they just sitting there. And if we need some information, that's going to hold up the process of getting this loan approved. So if the church has someone like a CFO, a bookkeeper, or even have a CPA, that's someone that we can call immediately that can get us data, get us information, can get us numbers. That's what's important. I met with a young pastor on Monday, and this church is bringing in on an average of $35,000 a month, have 200 solid church members for his tithes and paying tithes and offerings to the church, and he still got turned down for a loan. They have no debt because they're renting a facility. They're renting a church, utilities, pastor salary. That's basically it. And they even got turned down for a loan. And the lending institution saying that they need to be established for a minimum of 10 years before they would even consider giving them a loan. And that's just not the answer that he needed to hear. So rest assured, he getting all of his documentation together as we speak, so we can implement him for a loan. Also, we like to see a church being in existence or a nonprofit in existence for a minimum of 2 years, 2 to 3 years minimum. That's how long they need to be established of being in business of a church or a nonprofit in operation. And if they have that and we get the appropriate documentation, we can see where they stand in reference to getting them a loan. And the first part of that process, even in your back office on the church, it says a one-page application, a one-page application. And that is true. And I emailed that application to Mr. Mo this evening. And it's a very basic, simple application. It just asks basic, simple information from the church: name, address, what city, things of that nature. But what's mostly important is the adult attendance for the church adult attendance. And we need that from year to date. This is 2024. So, how many people are attending the church? Then we need it for the last 3 years. It's year to date and the last 3 years of church adult attendance, because we want to see a pattern of consistency. Okay, COVID hit us. We all know church attendance dipped tremendously. Have it picked back up after COVID? Or you say church, when I say church attendance, now we have a lot of church members watching church on Zoom, Facebook. Well, that's still attending church. You can calculate those numbers as attending church. That's very, very important. And then we need to know the address of the institution that's being financed. What is the mailing address? We want a mailing address, not a P.O. box. We want a mailing address. So after we get the basic church information, then we're going to focus on, again, that point of contact. Who's going to be that point of contact? Then is it going to be the broker? You as the lending broker? Well, but no, it's not going to be you. But is it going to be the pastor? Is it going to be the realtor? Is it going to be the CFO, the bookkeeper, or the CPA? Who is going to be that point of contact for us? And if it is the pastor, let it be. If he's going to say, "Hey, I want to be firsthand to get the information. I received that call from the lending institution." If that's what he wants to do, it's nothing you can do but put his name and a good contact number. Okay, email address, phone number. It's just basic information, yeah. Then we want to know, how did he hear from us? How did that church get in contact with us to request a loan? Right there, you can put down other. You was referred by, put your name and Sequoia Lending on the application. That's very important because we need to know, Mo and Sequoia needs to know who's going to receive the commission. So you got to put your name on the application. You was referred to us in reference to Sequoia Lending Institution with your name. Then we're going to go down to the next block on this one-page application. Land and building. What type of loan is the church requesting or the nonprofit is requesting? Are they requesting for purchase, refinance, renovation, or construction? Very, very important. What are we trying to do? We need to wrap our heads around and try to figure out, what is the church trying to do? What is their goal? We're trying to purchase a church. We're trying to refinance that church. Are we trying to do some renovations? Are we trying to do construction? Now, when people, when institutions, churches, and nonprofits trying to do construction, a lot of times they kind of put the wagon before the horse. I'll put it that way. What I mean by that, they want to go out and get with an architect, start drawing up plans for the construction. That is not the time to spend money drawing up plans. Now, if they come to you with the plans, there's nothing you can do but tell them to hold them till we need to see the plans with the breakdown of the budget or how much this project going to cost. What I'm trying to say, if they can't get financing and you spend all this money on the front end for its infrastructure, blueprints, working with an architect, it may not work out the way that the church or the nonprofit wanted to go. And I have ran into that situation several times. I mean, I've passed by a church right here in my local area. I'm still looking at dirt over many, many years. They got architectural plans. They did all this infrastructure. No church. Well, no add on to the church because the funding was not in place for them to get the fund and to start construction. And the church is paid for. The church is paid for. The existing church is paid for, but they can't get forward to move funding for their construction. And I'm going to tell you the reason why in a minute. So, what is that property value today? What is the property value today in reference to whatever they're trying to do? Also, churches like to move ahead and move forward in reference to getting an appraisal done. With us, you don't need to do that on the front end because we're going to order our own internal appraisal. We may look at your appraisal, but then too, we may not accept your appraisal. So if we don't accept that appraisal, that means we got to go back out and order a new appraisal altogether. That's so important. So what I'm saying is, first thing that the church and the nonprofit can do is get us the information we requested before they start spending any money, because we also want to see in their bank account, in their lending institution account, how much money they got set aside. We always like to see money into the account. We don't want you to spend the money. We're not asking for the money, but we want to know that you got the money in case of an emergency, that you can have 3 to 6 months into that account, that if emergency came up, you can still pay the loan for the church or the nonprofit. And we want to know who is the current lender. If they have a loan on the church, we need to know who is the current lender. And then we want to know, we might not know, the lending institution, the pastor, they might not know the answer to this, but if they do, we need it. What will be the property value after they finish with the construction, renovation, or purchase? Or well, basically after renovation and construction, uh, what will that church value be? Will that renovation or construction increase the value of the church? That's what we need to know. We also need to know who is the insurance company that provides fire coverage for the church or the nonprofit. We need to know who that insurance company is. Then we shift down on that one page application, financial information. Very simple. Uh, Excellent, good, fine, not so good. We need help. In reference, when I say excellent, is the church paying the bills on time? Or is the lending institution or the nonprofit lending or the nonprofit paying the bills on time? We're looking for excellent credit history. It's just with a church or a nonprofit, we are not looking at anyone's personal credit. There's no personal credit we look at. So we want to know, is that church or nonprofit paying the bills on time? Always, if it's good, always pay the mortgage on time. Then we go down, fine, only a couple of late payments on the mortgage in the past 3 years. We need to know this information. That's right there on the application. And when we get that information, that's just the first part of this application, which is basically self-explanatory for the church or the nonprofit. And when you get that information, there's going to be some more information you need to go along with that one-page application. And what is that information? We need to see the P&L statements for the church. The P&L statements is the profit and loss statements. What does the profit and loss statements look like for the church? I'm trying to get to them if I can. 1 second. I thought I had them out. That profit and loss statement needs to be for the last 3 years. We need a current profit and loss statement. Are we into 2024? So the current profit and loss statement would be for January and February. Well, January right now, 1 month for the new year. And then that profit and loss statement needs to be for the last 3 years. So if we into 2024, I need that profit and loss statement for 2023, 2022, and 2021. And all churches and nonprofits should have a current, up to date, and the last 3 years of their profit and loss statements. Now, what's very impressive to us as an institution, when the church said, well, let me call my CPA and get that information to you. It just should be the click of a button, and that CPA's bookkeeper should be able to get us that information immediately, ASAP. And if we get that information, we know that that church is running an institution correctly. We look see, now if we ask for information, you can't get us information, we know we may be running into a problem. And I'm here to tell you up front, I have run into many problems with churches not able to provide me with profit and loss statements. Then if they can't provide it to us, we do have a CPA firm on staff that can assist the church with that information we need. Now, sometimes when we talk about loans, I say above maybe 1.5 million, we're going to request information from the CPA from the profit and loss statements. When we start going above that 1.5, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, we definitely going to ask for CPA certification to verify the truth and accuracy of that information and data. Also, with that profit and loss statement, we're going to need the, I always get the name, but it's right here. We're going to need the balance sheets. Balance sheets. We need the balance sheets to coincide with each year of that profit and loss statements. You got a profit and loss statements, you should have a balance sheet with it also. Okay? Very, very important. Now, right here on this balance or profit and loss statements, one thing we really zero in, really is very important in reference to the balance sheet. It's on the balance sheet. I'm just looking right quick. The pastor's salary. Salaries and payrolls. They got it here on the profit and loss statements. I apologize. It's on the profit and loss statements. Salaries. What type of salaries is the church paying? They might have a secretary. They got the musicians for the churches. That's an expense. I mean, that's part of running a church. But that main salary that we are looking at is the pastor's salary, his housing allowance, his insurance that the church is paying for him and his spouse. Now, I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you up front. The pastor's salary can't not be 50% or more than the church's income. If the church, I'm just making these numbers up now, if the church is bringing in $400,000 a year, the pastor's salary cannot be $200,000. That's not within the IRS guidelines. So that's going to be a red flag immediately. Now, when we see that, we don't run the church away. We tell the pastor, hey, you got to get your salaries in accordance within the guidelines of the IRS. And we have the CPA can assist you with that. Then you can come back to us to get your loan. Out of about approximately, I'll say 15 to 20 years, I have not had one church pastor come back with the correct numbers. I don't put nobody's church business in the street or nothing like that. That's personal information. But that's one number we look at. We already know that will be a red flag. We cannot move forward with that. But it's not for you as the lending loan broker to tell them that. You let us tell them that. And we're going to look at that real heavily on the front end. So I'm just letting you know that that's a little pet peeve that we look at to make sure that the church is following the guidelines in reference to salaries. Very, very important. So we talked about the one-page loan application. We talked about the profit and loss statements and the balance sheets. All churches, they know what the profit and loss statement is. They know what the balance sheets are. So that's all you got to say. And then we want to know in reference to debt services, all the debt that the church is paying out on a monthly basis, the mortgage, vehicles, utilities, internet services, phones, maintenance for the church. We need all that debt services put. If it's a debt that they're paying on, we want that to be on a debt service sheet, or they can just pull up one, make up one, or we can send them one with the application. Once we get that information, and we also going to need the most current bank statement from the church. One bank statement. That's all we need. One bank statement. Once we get that information, then we will look at the numbers. We will look at how they've been paying their bills. We'll look at that history. Then we can move forward if they're going to be able to qualify for a church loan. Now, after we look at that information, what the church is going to receive or what we're going to negotiate with the church on that first phase is we it's like a pre-approval like we getting a mortgage for a home. We're going to give them a term and rate sheet. They have to agree to the term and rate sheet. What is going to be the interest rate the church are going to receive? What are the terms going to be? It's not for and the churches or the leaders of the nonprofits and the church. They're just like anybody else. What is the interest rate going to be? Well, we don't know what that's going to be until we look at all this information. Just like Mr. Mo just said, don't try to sell terms and rates. That's for us to discuss that or let us negotiate that with the leaders of those institutions, not for you to get bogged down. Well, I think the interest rate is, well, that might not be accurate. They may not be true. So just always say, once we get your term and rate sheet, you will be able to negotiate that with the lender in reference to what that will be, what you want it to be, and see can we work within those guidelines in reference to those expenses of interest rate and what will be the closing costs that the church will be paying at closing. That's for us to discuss with the churches, not you. Okay, so I don't want you to get bogged down. Is what I'm saying. Now, when the church or the nonprofit gets that term and rate sheet, they have to sign that documentation saying they agree to this terms and rates. Once they sign that, there's an $800 processing fee to move to the next phase. Phase two. Phase two is the start of the processing of this data and paperwork. That's when a Sequoia processing team will get involved and they will start collecting more data from the church or the nonprofit to put this information together and then give it to me. Once they give me that information, then we're going to start looking at it more in depth and ensure that we have everything that we need to present it to the lender for approval. One of the biggest part of this process that's kind of slow or slowing us up is the appraisal. Once we get the term and rate sheet signed, they give us the $800 processing fee. Then we order the appraisal. The appraisal right now is taking anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to come back. The church cannot be fully approved until we get that appraisal back. That's our slowest part of this process is that appraisal. Once we get the appraisal back, then we can move forward with a full complete package to underwriting. But during that processing with Sequoia lenders, we're going to need more documentation. I call that phase three, the processing of the loan. And that's uh, we need a complete and signed. It's a questionnaire that's going to be attached of given to the church leader from the processing team from Sequoia. We need the church bylaws, which I just said is the church debt schedule, articles of incorporation filed with the state. We need the bio or the resume of the senior pastor or the senior leader or the president of the nonprofit. We need their resume. We need the history of the organization. And then we're going to need 3 months of bank statements. We're going to need the last 3 months of the bank statements, and we need all pages. If a page is blank, still send it to us. We need all pages of that bank statement. Once we get all that information, we got a complete package, put it together. Then Sequoia processing team will give me all of that information. I get it to my underwriters. They will look at the information for approval. For approval. 90% of the time, I even said 95% of the time, if we giving a church a term and rate sheet, more than likely they're gonna get that loan approved, unless they did not give us all the information accurately as they quoted to us or put it in writing. Now, sometimes some of your mega churches, they got daycares, they got all kind of business entities attached to these churches. Those profit and loss statements they are huge. Balance sheets, they are huge, and sometimes what they told us, it don't line up what they sent us. So when things are not balancing out correctly, we're going to verify that you send us information through your CPA. We're going to request documentation to be verified from the CPA at that time, because we got to make sure this information is accurate as it can possibly be. Now, I don't want you to misquote me. Yeah, I mean, sometimes numbers can be off a little bit, yes, but it shouldn't be off $100,000. It shouldn't be off $50,000. No, I mean, if you made $100 plus or minus here or there, that's okay. That's nobody's gonna squabble over that. But when we see some huge discrepancies in numbers, we're gonna get the CPA involved at that time with these loans. Also, these loans start out, we do a minimum of our loans are at $100,000 all the way up to 35 million. So we have the funding, we know where to get the money from, we have the resources to get the money. So rest assured, you in a good place, because everywhere I go, everybody church wise, nonprofit wise, is looking for funding. And it's getting very, very scarce where they can go to get the funding. Also, these most times, I'll say anything under a million. Well, we have no tax returns under a million. A lot of times there will be no auditing of the financial records under $1 million. I'll say a million to about 1.5 realistically. No personal guarantees under $1 million, and we try to close quickly as we can. And a lot of times, or most of the times, under $1 million, we can do 100% financing. But that 100% financing, that kind of goes along with the market as a whole, in reference if that's going to be 100% financing. So just keep that in mind. All the when they do the negotiation with us, the church or the nonprofit, we will be able to determine what is the best route for them to go. Hey, Pastor, we can do this on 100%, or we can do this if you take this interest rate here, the closing cost will be this. So there's a lot of variables in there, and that's why you on the front end dealing direct with the church or the leader of that church or the nonprofit, don't get yourself bogged in and get boxed in or saying something that you really don't know the answer. Any questions right now? Any questions, Mr. Mo and team?
Any questions, anyone?
Yes, I have a question. Hold on. There we go. Let's see. You just read the one-page application, but on our Sequoia back office, it's a simpler application with minimum questions. When they fill it out in our back office, I know you said that they have to put our names on the application you just reviewed. What if when do they get that application? After they submit here, we contact them? Or
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. After they fill out the information in your web portal, then Alan or Mo or someone from Sequoia would get that information and more likely be on the phone with me with your name attached to that application out of your back office. There shouldn't be no question of who this application is coming from. And I always ask Alan that question. Okay, I see.
Let me jump in on this one, right? So you always have your clients to fill out anything, any scenario form, because that
Right.
is your website. Anybody that fill out an application from your website, that is your client, you will get credit for it. So once they fill out that website, now or the scenario form, that's what we call on the website. And now we will have the information in the back office, so do you. So from that point on, then our processing team, either myself, either Chris or Jared, one of us is going to respond to the scenario form with that information, with that one-page application,
okay,
and a list of documentations. Okay, so
and I'll
that
get a
goes.
copy of that email too, right?
Yes, you always include it in the email. So now, remember this: after we send it to you and your client, and if you do not see your client sending anything back to us, please follow up with your client.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be able to see if they sent anything in.
Well, that's why you need to want to talk to your client, make sure that they include you in that email. And if
Okay.
you don't, please make sure that you give them a call. Now, from us, when we received it and when we respond, we always respond to to everybody, including you.
Okay.
Now,
Would there ever be a way where, when we do have a client, because I know we only have the platform, like a back office that would show us what's missing? Or it's just always gonna be by?
It's always through the email,
Okay.
through the email, because again, yes, eventually we will build a CRM system like that. But it's not easy to build something like this, and it costs a lot of money. So right now, what we do is that it's all through email. So for every single case, you will have an email chain, and including you in it, and you will know exactly. For you, we know exactly what is missing from the processing team. For you is to help us to move to move your clients to get the stuff to us.
Right.
So you don't need to know about the detail. You don't need to know, exactly what you need to connect, things like this. You will see our email.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
yeah. And another thing I want to say right quick, as I say, I can't overstate this enough. Whoever's filling out the information in your portal is just me talking. I always like to fill it out or have them on the phone filling it out for them. Because I'm telling you, pastors are always busy now. That's a favorite word they use. I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna get to it. If you just get on the phone with them, say, Pastor, I'm gonna help you fill it out right now. You will help expedite and move the process forward. It's so because you always have to call when you're going to get to it, et cetera, et cetera. So if you just want to help to boost this process along, you can. Just me talking now. But
Yeah, that's a good
let's just
idea. I would do that. I would fill it out for them, especially if they
yeah,
call me.
just help them along the way.
If
And you can
someone
get
happened to go across my site and fill it out, that's a different story. But if I'm communicating with them, I'll definitely fill it out for them.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be
I
in good
agree
shape.
with that also, because that's what I had to do.
Anybody have
So
any other questions?
Yeah,
No,
Benny.
sir. I don't have any questions about
They-
the church loans, but I do have a shot across the bow for Alan. I paid my money
tell
to
me
get my
they gonna
company
fill it out,
email
they said they
set
would fill
up,
it
and
out.
I haven't got it set up yet. Just trying to figure out what's going on with it, sir.
I believe that your email is already set up, and I saw your email in the system, and I believe the system sent you twice already. So I will ask the support team to send another email to you. Well, as a matter of fact, let me do it myself right here. Okay. So let me send you another email in about 2 minutes.
Okay, sir.
You will see it.
And let's stay focused on the church funding for right now. We'll definitely get around, definitely handle that. The $800 fee.
Are we not getting pizza?
Say again? The $800 fee, Benny,
Yes.
when is that paid?
once we give them the term and rate sheet, when they sign that term and rate sheet, it will be an item for them to send us the $800. It's on the term
Okay.
and rate sheet.
Is
Tell
that
them
for does that for refis and
that's
purchases?
for all loans, all loans.
Okay.
The term and rate sheet. It's on all loans. The $800 processing fee.
Now, hey, Benny, on that
Okay.
$800 processing fee, say the client gets declined, we can't get them done, they just lose out on $800?
They're gonna lose out on the $800.
Okay.
But if we give you that term and rate sheet, if we give that institution a term and rate sheet, more than likely, 95% of the time, it's going through. I haven't had one to fall or fail after we have given them a term and rate sheet.
Okay,
But you got to understand, we are taking their word that the information they're giving us is true and accurate as it can possibly be.
What do you mean? What do you mean we're taking their word?
Well,
Because we're giving documents.
well, that's what I mean. The documents got to be true and accurate as it can possibly
Oh,
be.
gotcha.
Far as the profit and loss statements, that information got to be accurate. See, we're not gonna give them if we say, hey, these numbers not adding up, they're not looking right. Well, we can kind of tell over the years if they're gonna work out what information they're giving us. See, because as you see, it's no credit to pull. We just going by their word, and that if they have a loan on a refinance, when we call that institution for the refinance, have they been paying that mortgage on time?
so
So
does the client get something that tells them if the information is inaccurate, that the money that they pay is non-refundable if it's not approved?
it's go yes. Because see, we're gonna have a conversation with that pastor. We're gonna have before they get their term and rate sheet, we're gonna be in contact with them, and we're gonna talk to them because we got to get a feel if this is going to work out. And the bottom line is, when we talk to that, if they have a loan already, if we talk to that lending institution, they're going to say, hey, this guy's been paying the loan 100%, never been late. Well, that's a thumbs up. That's a green light. Now
Okay.
we got to see what income is coming in versus what expenses they are paying on, and how much money they got left to make that mortgage payment. If they already making that mortgage payment on a refinance, I'm pretty sure they can continue to make the mortgage payment within the guidelines of getting that loan.
All right, now is the appraisal included in that 800 also, or is that separate?
That's separate. That's separate.
Okay,
Now,
Um,
when I say appraisal, sometimes they just get someone from the lending institution to go do a drive-by and look at nearby churches within a specific radius, and get us comparables versus doing a full-blown appraisal. Because churches are different size, square footage, land wise. There's no really, it's not a lot of comparisons. One church is going to look like another church, so it's a lot of variables in there with these appraisals. Sometimes you might want to do a $1 million loan, but the church down the street is worth 5 million. So that's not a real good comparison, but we have nothing else to compare the church to. So we have to do our due diligence in various ways to come up with accuracy far as the value of that church or that institution or that nonprofit. Nonprofit, we can get that information fairly quick in reference to buildings, but churches, it can get a little, it can be challenging at times, but nevertheless, we'll get it worked out.
okay.
Benny, I think Alicia had a question. I'm not sure. She had her hand up, and I believe Carolyn had her hand up as well.
Yeah, I see 3 messages here. I see a message.
Yeah, my question was answered in the chat, and then someone else asked you the same question. You answered it.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Alicia,
Okay.
what about you? Are you okay with your question?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. My grandkid is in the back, so I apologize for that. So, usually you have some people that want to know who is the lender. What would be the correct verbiage to say to them?
Could you say it again, please? I could barely hear you.
Oh, hold on, Mr. Bennie. Hold on one second.
She was asking, some clients will ask, who the lender
Can you hear
is.
me?
Sure, I can hear you a little better now. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So what I was asking, sometimes you get people who want to know who the lender is. I mean, I've had that happen in the past, and because we are Sequoia, but we have you as our partnership to do the church funding. So what would be the proper verbiage to say to them if they ask?
We work with multiple lenders to fund these loans. So based on the best scenario that they give us with the application and the information that's needed to support the loan, we have to shop it around to see who will fit it the best with the best lender out there, who's going to give us the best rate and terms. So to answer your question, it's not just one lender that we use.
And also, was that Alicia with that question?
Yes, that was me, Mo. Hi.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Alicia. Also, let's keep that answer as a generic answer anyway. That we work with over 500 different lenders. So to answer that question, if they whether it's church funding or any type of funding, and they want to know who the lender is, that depends on the scenario. We work with over 500 lenders.
Yes, that's
I've
a good
used
way.
that in the past. I think that's general. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
So I think whoever provides the best term, okay, rating term, okay. The it was something else I wanted to ask. When getting church funding, what's the main goal that the underwriters are they looking at? They want to know what you said earlier. We want to know what the church goal is. Are they looking for the expansion of the church? Like if you're going to get a loan, they're considering, the growth. Is it all about growth and expansion? Are they concerned about your marketing and how you're going to bring people in, the members in? Is that a factor?
Well, they're going to look at the stability of the church. Okay, the church been in existence. Some churches, 100 years, 50 years, 10 years. How many members at that church? They want to look at that steady growth, that foundation. Some of these churches, like my church, regardless who comes in or who leaves, you got a foundation. They're going to be there regardless. They know they're gonna be a bulk of that church foundation that's going to be able to fund the church. They're looking for that stability of that. That's what they're looking for.
Gotcha.
See, then they want to know, have the church been paying its bills on time? That's very, very important. Have the church been paying the bills on time, especially that mortgage, that loan? And then how much money after they pay the bills, how much money they have left over? Because after you pay the discretionary bills, you got to have money left over to pay the mortgage. And if that all lines up, hey, they're going to get the loan. They're going to get the loan.
Is there anything in place for new churches, small new churches?
No, I got to ask on that one because that question has came up before, and a church just starting out under 2 years. I mean, they got to be bringing in a lot of funding. They got to be bringing in a lot of funding because somebody because there's risk involved.
Right. Exactly.
So they got to know how risky this going to be if it's under
Gotcha.
2 years. So they're going to be really looking at the risk factor under 2 years if they would do it, or do that church has a good foundation to give us the confidence that they can support this loan without it going under, or they can't make the mortgage payment, I should say. Anybody
Okay.
else?
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more real quick. I know you said, the church has to report, um, the count of adults attendees for the past 3 years to date. And you said that could include like Zooms or social media. Or how do they, I guess, is that something they have to provide proof of? Like they have
Basically,
that many attendant?
basically, we taking their word.
Okay,
Basically, we taking their word. If you got 200 members, that's what we're gonna stand on. You got 200 members.
okay.
You know, I have not seen that we got to have something verified in reference to members. They and another thing too, we may ask for that to be in the. We may ask for your. I'll say, for example, we may ask for who are your highest and who are the highest tithe members in your church. We may ask for the 10 highest tithe members in your church by name. Okay, who does the top 10 members of your church that bring in the most money to your church? You see, but we have never really went out to verify it. You give us it's just information we got on record.
Is there a signer, or is there a particular signer for the church funding with a better credit? Anything like that that they need to be concerned about? Someone with certain credit score as a signer?
No. It's no credit check involved with these church loans. None whatsoever.
Is that
We
the
don't ask,
same?
now I see what you're saying, Mo. Sometimes we may ask for a co-signer if it's over $1 million. If it's over about 1.3, 1.5, we may ask for a co-signer.
Right.
Along with the pastor, the leader of the church. Now, if you're talking 10 million, 15 million, 5 million, yes, more than likely they want a backup co-signer for loans of that size at that time. Did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
What's the
Absolutely.
But now,
minimum amount?
about what I want to say to y'all, the questions that y'all are bringing up, these leaders, they already know this is part of the process. This is nothing new to them. Okay, they're not shocked about what we asking them. I had never had one pastor to say, I didn't know I had to sign this, or you're going to ask for this. They already know what's required. They might not know what order we asking, but they already know what to expect.
One other question. I think Joey had one too. I'm going to say, how long does it typically take uh, to close on church funding? I know we got one. We're waiting on one right now with River
Yeah.
City.
2 to 4 weeks for that appraisal to come back. Once they cannot go to underwriting until the appraisal is back. That's up to the lending institution how long it's going to take. We don't have the answer.
Gotcha.
But we are pushing them to get us the documentation so we can close. We asking them to approve the funding so we can close. We in communication with them on a daily, weekly basis.
So you waiting for information on River City now, right?
They waiting for information. They waiting for the appraisal to come back. As of this week, they still waiting on the appraisal.
For
I
River
don't know why
City?
it's taking so long.
I don't even know if we
saying?
got. I don't think you get. Okay, we'll talk offline. Joey, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what's the minimum funding for churches or nonprofits?
100,000.
Okay.
Anything different between the church and just a traditional nonprofit that
Same criteria, same guidelines. We went over 100,000 minimum.
Okay.
Now, also, I want to put this out, and I think it's in the back office. I think I've seen it. We also fund funeral homes. We also fund funeral homes.
Would
So
that
if
go
you-
under the church funding scenario?
Same scenario that I just put out. Same scenario.
So what's the shortest term for these type of loans?
The shortest terms.
Yeah.
I say 5 years minimum.
5 years minimum? Thanks.
Mhm.
Excellent.
But don't put that out to a church because we got to look at information.
No, I just want to know personally.
Yeah. Don't put that out. Oh, we can do this for 5 years. Don't put that out. let let us at our end put all that out based on the term and rate sheet.
Now, if it's a newer church, let's say, and they're not asking for much, if it's under $1 million, say they're asking for $500,000. Is that something that you guys look at if it's a lower amount that they're asking for?
Well, we look at everything 100,000 and up. So we thankful to get to 100,000 because sometimes just cause I just say mega churches, it don't mean they're gonna get a loan. Some of those can be very tedious, hard to do for one reason or another. And I don't want to go into a whole lot of details on it, but just because you got a mega church and you the mega pastor, don't mean you can bully yourself around to get the loan in a nice way. Okay. They
Right.
still got to provide the same information like $100,000 church. That's what I'm saying. And
Right,
sometimes they don't.
yeah, I didn't know if say the church has only been around for a year and a half or a year,
Well,
if there's something and they're not asking for as much money, if that's something that you guys would overlook, or they don't, it's
we
2 years
will take
minimum, no matter
we will
what.
take that into consideration. We will take that in consideration. But we got to look at all the factors before we can give you an ultimate decision if they've been in existence less than 2 years. If they've been in existence less than 2 years, it'll be a consideration. That's what it will be.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Any other question? Okay. All right. Well, Benny, I think that's pretty much it for today. If there's no other questions, I think we learned a lot for church funding. Now, this is an opportunity for us to go back to our database, and as we discuss every week, to start talking to our hot and our warm audience. That means going into the people that you know immediately, that's in your phone, your contact list, the churches and non-for-profits that you know. I think we all know a lot of different non-for-profits and a lot of churches. This is the time you want to get this information out there that you have funding. Remember, you sell money for a living, and that's what you do. And you have money available for these churches, so they need to you need to let them know that you've got programs starting at $100,000 minimum on up. Okay, and
Can
then
I
we
say,
can. Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead.
say this right quick, Mo?
Absolutely, Benny.
Everybody, partner up with a commercial broker, real estate broker, or just a real estate agent, period. That meeting I had Monday for the 1.3, 1.5 million, that was from a real estate agent. She the one brought the pastor to me to do the funding because they couldn't find nobody to do the funding. So that just opened up a whole new lane or opportunity for this agent. She said, I got several churches that I know that's looking for funding. But she said she didn't ever want to network with the churches for funding or find a church for them because they didn't know nobody that could do the loan. So now she knows that there's a resource out there that can do the loan. So she's ready to focus on the churches. She's using that as a niche to go out and network with the churches to help them find churches, build larger facilities. So that's a way, just like Mo's been telling you about the advertising and marketing. Just talk to them. Just open your mouth and say, hey, this is what I do. If y'all ever need any funding for your church, I'm available. You're going to be amazed what some of these leaders tell you. Oh, I've been looking for somebody. My church, I need to get a AC system, a $50,000 AC unit, and I can't get the bank to fund it for me, to finance it for me. But you're taking your money. We're taking the church money to that institution every Monday morning. They put in money in these banks every Monday morning from the church, but the bank is not lending them any money to move to grow the church
Right.
at all. My
That's right.
church got caught up into that.
That's right. And
recently.
that's a good selling point. Thank you, Betty. That's a good selling point to use when you're talking to the pastor. You're depositing your money every Monday morning, but these banks are still not giving you the funding that you need to expand your church or to grow and do the things that you need to do. So this is why you're here with Sequoia Lending. Okay. So Alan, did you have anything?
It's your show, Mo.
All right.
I'm here to watch.
All
I'm here to
right.
support.
Okay.
Well, one thing that I would suggest everyone, right? So coming to again, coming to all these meetings, great, but hey, making money it's even better. So
That's right.
make yourself a decision how much you're going to make this month. Okay, so again, make a goal, set a goal.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of Alan, guys, I'm sure I'm glad you brought that up because these meetings that we're having on Fridays and Wednesdays and things like that, we want to make sure that you inspire you to now go out and go get a deal. Let's get a deal. This is what I said on last week's call. I need 10 of you all that want to get me involved to help get you your first deal. So which means that we're going to go through your pipe. We're going to go through your contact list. We're going to do these things and get a person on the phone, somebody you think that can benefit from a product that we have here in Sequoia. It may not be church funding. It may be something else, but we got to get you your first deal if you haven't had your first deal. Okay. So let's take this information that we're learning on these calls and let's get some deals done. If you need any help, you guys know to inbox me at Alan or what have you. But let's get some deals done. Benny, thank you so much, man. This was great information. You did great. We will definitely want to have you back on these calls, and I think we learned a lot. I think I want to touch bases on maybe just some non-for-profit, some regular non-for-profit entities soon in the future. But you answered all of our questions, so we're going to get out to selling some church funding. So thank you.
Okay.
And thank you, everybody, for showing up for our Friday night huddle. This call will be recorded. Once again, we'll see everybody at the top. Wings up, everyone.
Wings
All
up.
right. All right.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.